To move swiftly along. I think it was promptly stated that this should not be another talk shop. So we have a lot of meetings taking place on the sidelines of this week that are to ensure that we achieve our goals. So with that being said, we're going to start our first plenary session. Then we will continue to the rest of the program. Kindly do indulge us. We are running quite behind time. However, I promise that we'll do our best, and this one is to my speakers, to catch up. I know I'm being unfair to you, but we'll do our best to make sure that we do catch up. Ladies and gentlemen, at this very moment, kindly allow me and do welcome him with a great round of applause, the Director General, International Renewable Energy Agency, Mr. Francesco Lacamara. A huge round of applause. Probably got the best shoes in the whole conference.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The shoes are Italian anyway. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, buongiorno. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. It's my great pleasure to join you today as we convene for the inaugural Southern African Development Community Sustainability Energy Week. This year marks 10 years since the adoption of the Paris Agreement. And while renewable energy deployment has since grown, progress remains insufficient to meet our climate and sustainable development goals. Even so, 2024 broke global temperature records as the warmest year in recorded history and was marked by floods, drought, wildfires, and destroyed livelihoods, displaced millions, damaged our ecosystem. This is no longer a distant threat, but a present-day reality, prompting a climate emergency. Under the landmark UE consensus adopted COP28, the global community undertook to triple renewable energy capacity to 11 terawatts and double energy efficiency improvement by 2030. This underscores the magnitude of our shared challenge and the urgency of strengthening international collaboration and mobilizing, scaling up, and expanding access to capital. As the official custodian agency for tracking these goals, IRENA stands at the forefront of this global transformation and opportunity. The priority of IRENA for these decisive decades are thus clear: to support members in tripling renewable capacity by 2030, to enhance national determined contribution, the NDCs, to align with the global targets, to facilitate energy transitions in emerging markets and developing economies through tailored technical assistance and capacity building, and to create innovative financing and de-risking mechanisms to mobilize public financing and unlock private capital in these countries. Importantly, African energy transformation is a key priority for IRENA. For the continent, renewable energy is not just a climate priority, but a pathway to socio-economic transformation. However, unfortunately, the geographic deployment of renewable power remains highly uneven, with Africa accounting for only 1.6% of global installed capacity in 2023. As a response, the Nairobi Declaration, adopted at 2023 Africa Climate Summit, set a bold vision to a five-fold increase in renewable capacity in Africa by 2030. We stand at a pivotal moment for the Sadc region. With a growing population, rising energy demand, and the pressing need for climate resilience, the choice we make today will determine the economic and social trajectory of millions. The challenge before us is clear. How do we ensure universal access to reliable, affordable, and clean energy while advancing economic development and climate goals? In line with this ambition, the Sadc region can benefit from several catalytic initiatives and platforms championed by ARENA to drive investment and regional collaboration. First is the Accelerated Partnership for Renewable Energy in Africa, APRA, that was launched under the leadership of Germany, Denmark, and naturally of President Ruto of Kenya, and then UAE and US joined, and that included at that time seven countries, now include 9 African countries: Kenya, Ethiopia, Ghana, Namibia, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, Zimbabwe, and newly joined members, Mozambique and Djibouti. We have added 2 other countries that have asked to join the partnership, and we think that we will be shortly 15 African countries be part of this initiative. And naturally, I strongly hope that Botswana may also join the partnership soon. So, APRA offers a unique platform tailored to Africa energy needs and focused on 3 pivotal areas: mobilize finance, delivering technical expertise and capacity building, and engaging with the private sector to drive innovation. Second is the ARENA Energy Transition Accelerator Financing Platform, that's called ETAF. This has been established to mobilize capital from global financial institutions and accelerate the implementation of renewable energy projects in developing countries. So far, ETAF has mobilized $4.15 billion in soft pledge from 11 partners. Third is the global initiative on transitioning remote community to renewable energy. And naturally, we invite all African countries, through the minister that are present today and all other, to send projects for us and prove us that we can be able to facilitate the funding of this project. Then the global initiative on transitioning remote community to renewable energy was also launched at COP26 in Glasgow with the government of Canada. This provides a platform for stakeholders and community members to share knowledge and learn lessons on successful approaches to transitioning remote community to renewable energy. I am pleased to announce that ARENA has recently signed an agreement with the Government of Canada for the second phase of global initiative focused more on country and community-specific intervention that support on-ground actions. Lastly is the Empowering Lives and Livelihoods, launched at COP28, support catalytic action and foster result-oriented partnership for the transformation of agri-food and health sector through the integration of renewables. The Sadc region holds enormous renewable energy potential that can foster a just energy transition and ensure energy security for its people and prosperity. I have been very touched from the intervention of the president of this country, where he talked with so committed to go for renewables. And also, if you have seen the token, the frame, no? They see his face, by behind him, hydropower, wind power, and solar power, that I think show how this part of the world is committed to go for a cleaner energy system. To gain the full benefits of this potential, it is critical for the region to prioritize policy coherence by aligning national strategies with regional and global targets. As a part of this year's Sadc Sustainable Energy Week, ARENA will be hosting the 6th International Off-Grid Renewable Energy Conference and Exhibition, the OIREC. with the theme of translating commitment to action. This flagship event seeks to share experience and best practice, covering technologies, policy, regulatory, and financing of off-grid solutions. As we gather here today, I encourage all of us to forge a new era and move beyond plan to action, beyond isolated efforts to regional collaboration, and beyond gradual change to rapid progress. IRENA remains your steadfast partners in this journey, and together we can transform the Sadc region into a beacon of energy security, where sustainability and prosperity powered by renewables are not ideals, but just lived realities. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Director General at the International Renewable Energy Agency, Mr. Lacamera. A huge round of applause for him, please. And those who didn't catch it, he said the shoes are Italian when he got here. Truly. Thank you very much, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this stage, we will still be continuing with key messages from our key partners for this conference. And without any further ado, kindly allow me to invite to the podium Her Excellency Ms. Romana Koenigsbronn, the Austrian ambassador to South Africa. A huge round of applause. She gave me a thumbs up for the name pronunciation. My lady.
Honorable ministers, distinguished delegates and stakeholders in the renewable energy sector, ladies and gentlemen, good day to everyone. It's my great honor to address you here today at the opening of the Sadc Sustainable Energy Week here in Gaborone. I bring warm greetings from Austria, cold Austria at the moment, but warm greetings to a country that shares, your commitment to sustainable energy future. As we gather under the theme of the conference, Accelerating Sustainable Energy Solutions for an Energy Secure Sadc region, we are united in our recognition of the urgent need to transform our energy systems. The challenges we face are global, but the solutions must be tailored to local contexts and needs. And let me say it very openly, that in the current geopolitical climate, the cooperation of willing actors has never been more crucial. By coming together here today, we have taken the first step. For the next steps, let us walk together. Austria has long been a pioneer in renewable energy. Today, 85% of our primary energy production comes from renewable sources, primarily hydropower. We have set ambitious targets aiming for 100% renewable electricity by 2030 and climate neutrality by 2040. These goals drive innovation and create opportunities for economic growth and job creation. But we recognize that our journey is far from complete. Like the Sadc region, we continue to grapple with the complexities of the energy transition. It is through events like today's that we can share experiences, learn from each other, and forge partnerships to accelerate our progress. Austria is proud to support sustainable energy initiatives in the Sadc region. Through the Austrian Development Agency, we have been working with partners across Southern Africa to promote renewable energy and energy efficiency for many years. The term Soul Train has been already mentioned today. It stands for the Southern African Renewable Heating and Cooling Training and Demonstration Initiatives. And this has been a trailblazer in the field for over 15 years now. And the Soul Train Plus program is our flagship initiative and has been instrumental in advancing solar thermal technology in several Sadc countries. And we've worked very well with our partner Sadc here. Thank you, Kuda. It's about 50% of the energy worldwide that is used for hot water. And only the rest is used for electricity and mobility. So solar water heaters can fully cover the hot water demand in Sadc countries. And we've already demonstrated that in many projects like housing programs, hospitals, schools, industrial applications. There are 900 demonstration systems now in the Sadc region that were realized with Soul Train. However, it is critical that supportive policies and regulatory frameworks are in place to drive the adoption of renewable energy technologies. Only then is there space for entrepreneurs to foster economic growth. Without conducive policies, investments in renewable energy remain difficult to realize. As you deliberate over the next few days, I encourage you to think boldly and act decisively that transition to sustainable energy is not just an environmental imperative, it is an economic opportunity and a path to greater energy security and independence. Austria stands ready to continue our partnership with Sadc in this crucial endeavor. Together we can build a future where clean, affordable and reliable energy is accessible to all. Thank you very much, and I wish you all and all of us a productive and inspiring Sustainable Energy Week 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Her Excellency. At this stage, I'm reliably informed that we are going to have a video for our next presenter. So I'm hoping my technical is ready. Just give me a thumbs up. Okay, it's a thumbs up to say yes, we are. So ladies and gentlemen, continuing with our remarks from our key partners for our conference, the Deputy to the Director General and Managing Director of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, Mr. Sion Zhao. You should be appearing.
Excellencies,
there you go.
Distinguished delegates from international partners, private sector, science, and civil society. It is a particular honor and pleasure to welcome you to the first Sadc Sustainable Energy Week, which takes place in the beautiful city of Gaborone, Botswana. This event is a timely contribution to the region's effort to accelerate the climate transition by fostering the uptake of regional renewable energy and energy efficiency product and service market. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our host, the Ministry of Minerals and Energy of Botswana, and congratulate the Sadc Secretariat and the Sadc Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, SECRE, for creating such a valuable platform to discuss sustainable energy solutions of tomorrow. I also would like to extend my appreciation to the co-organizing partners and the sponsors, including the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, the AEE Institute for Sustainable Technologies, and the Austrian Development Agency. UNIDO is the only special agency of the United Nations mandated to promote sustainable and inclusive industrial development within the framework of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. UNIDO assists countries of the Global South in achieving SDG 9, focusing on resilient infrastructure, industrialization, and innovation. Key drivers of poverty reduction, inclusive growth, and environmental sustainability. We support our member states with technical cooperation, policy advisory services, normative standard setting, and partnerships for knowledge and the technology transfer. Firstly, in the context of the climate change challenges within the triple planetary crisis, at UNIDO, we prioritize interventions that support climate mitigation and adaptation efforts, especially for developing countries. Through our technical cooperation programs, we assist developing countries to decarbonize urban and rural industries and to become part of the expanding value chains of clean tech manufacturing and services, generating local green jobs and revenues. Secondly, over the past years, UNIDO has supported the transition of Sadc member countries to sustainable energy, resource efficiency, cleaner production, and the circular economy. I can assure you our continued commitment for the implementation of regional Sadc policies, such as the industrialization, sustainable energy and climate strategies, and action plans. Thirdly, bear in mind the physical constraints of Sadc countries to invest in the decarbonization of the energy sector and the key industries. We advocate for a just energy transition. This transition requires fair access to concessional climate finance, including from private sectors through carbon credits sought on the expanding global voluntary carbon markets. In this context, UNIDO is engaging in regional initiatives in Africa, which aim at enhancing the local capacities to develop high-quality carbon credit projects and the credibility of carbon markets. Fourthly, as you may be aware, UNIDO has not only supported Sadc, but also the establishment of 9 other regional sustainable energy centers in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean. I welcome the participation of the Global Network of Sustainable Energy Centers directors to the conference. Those centers are specialized agencies of the economic communities and provide support from the region to the region. On the joint platform, UNIDO facilitates South-South and triangle cooperation between the centers on common energy issues and solutions. I would like to encourage the participating international partners to meet with the regional centers at the conference. Together, they can contribute to the accelerated deployment of innovative solutions and approaches in various regions simultaneously. Lastly, I would like to also mention the Energy Efficiency and Lighting Appliance ELA project, which is supported by the Swedish International Development Agency. By working with Sadc and ACRI in East Africa, we developed harmonized intra-regional minimum energy performance standards for electric appliances on lighting, refrigeration, and air conditioning. These compliance frameworks will have a transformative impact over many years. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, we look forward to similar impactful intra-regional approaches and programs as the outcome of this conference. Multilateralism and the South-South Triangle cooperation remain an important accelerator for the energy and the climate transition in Sadc and beyond. I extend my congratulations to all partners for making this event a reality and wish you productive discussions. Thank you.
I trust Mr. Zhou would have wanted to be here with us in sunny, beautiful Gaborone, but thank you very much for those remarks. And to our partners, we are truly grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to make a humble request that we do give them a huge round of applause for helping put this together. And we're looking forward to further fruitful deliberations around what we can also learn from you in this journey. My dear delegates, kindly indulge me. I've just been informed that we're going to switch up the program. So I know you have a program on your desk. So what I say is the law, as the president said earlier. Okay? Are we in agreement? So don't hold me in contempt for changing things. So kindly do indulge me. However, it is just to make sure that you do get the full benefit of the deliberation, meaning that I'm going to move the ministerial high-level policy deliberation to after lunch. I know some people might not have been briefed about this, so my humble apologies. I'm going to move it after lunch so that everybody who's on the panel will be in the room. Am I forgiven? I don't think much. I will try and make it up to you. We have a week. And then, with that being said, meaning I'm going to move the after lunch, or what was scheduled to be the after lunch piece or plenary session, to now. Meaning that we are going to be inviting for what was to be session 2 to be session 1, the Sadc regional sustainable energy intervention, current situation and priority projects. In retrospect, I think it's befitting. We're gonna probably be getting where we are now, and then the ministers will come and try and get us further. All right. So at this very stage, kindly allow me to invite to the podium the Director of Energy, the Director of Energy in the Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy from the Kingdom of Eswatini. Kindly give a round of applause for Mrs. Thabile Joyce Nkosi. Mrs. Nkosi. I trust she will be joining us. She has a jam-packed panel. Oh, there she is. Okay, we're gonna do it again, because everybody deserves the shine of the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly put your hands together for Mrs. Thabile Joyce Nkosi, who is the Director of Energy in the Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy from the lovely Kingdom of Eswatini.
Okay, thank you very much, Program Director. Excellencies, honorable ministers, distinguished guests, good afternoon. I've already been introduced. My name is Thabile Nkosi, and I come from Eswatini. I am the Director for Energy in Eswatini. And it is an honor for me to be a moderator of this. Now it's a first session, a first panel discussion. And allow me to, I will be requesting my panelists, as I call them, to please take the podium. We have Mr. Kuda Kwasha Ndukula, who is the Executive Director of the Sadc Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. Please let's motivate them as they come. Thank you very much. And we have Mr. Steve Diwa, who is the Executive Director of the Southern African Power Pool, the SAP. Okay, thank you very much. And we have Mr. Francois Robinson, who's the Acting Executive Director of the Regional Energy Regulators Association of Southern Africa, RERA. And we have Ms. Vitina, the head of the Accelerated Partnership for Renewables in Africa, the Secretariat of the Danish Energy Agency. Thank you very much. We have Mr. Kebus Gonil. He is the Director, Country Engagement and Partnerships from the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA. Thank you. And we have Mr. Lesego Mueng. He's the Transformation and Strategy Manager from Botswana Power Corporation, BPC. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. And may I warmly welcome the panelists and also to thank them for being available for this session. And to the audience, thank you so much also for being here. And first of all, I would like to commend Sadc, the Sadc, and also the government of Botswana for arranging this panel discussion. This session is meant to explore the current energy landscape in the Sadc region, highlighting the ongoing energy priority projects, and also to discuss strategic interventions that are required to improve the regional energy security. So this is a very important discussion because as the Southern African region continues to grapple with energy access and also issues of energy security, as well as the global transition towards sustainable energy sources, it is key that key regional stakeholders must collaborate to drive sustainable energy interventions. So in the panels, as I have been introducing them, we have representation from power pools, from regulatory authorities, from renewable energy agencies, and also from the power pools. So it's a very diverse panel that will be in a position to provide a comprehensive analysis of the steps being taken to foster sustainable energy future in the Sadc region. So how we are going to do it, we are going to go through the first round of questions. At the end, we'll then open for questions, for input from the audience, and then we'll take the second round of questions with our panelists, which should take us to the end of our discussion. And please, each panelist, when you are given a turn to talk, please just take around 3 minutes so that we are on time. Okay, thank you once more. I will start with Mr. Kuda, the Executive Director of Sadc. Mr. Kuda, we know that Sadc plays a very key role in advancing sustainable energy across the Sadc region by promoting renewable energy integration. There are also issues of cross-border cooperation and even capacity building. And we know that Sadc is geared towards regional energy security, tackling regulatory frameworks, issues of financing, and also the capacity building to drive renewable energy projects and even cross-border power interconnections through collaboration with the SAP. Now, the question is, given your mandate and also the current challenges in the region, we're talking of access and also security challenges, what are the key priority projects that Sadc is focused on? And in your response, please do talk to how you envision these projects to be contributing to energy security and even access in the short to medium term. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. It's a good afternoon to you all. I would stand guided by the protocol already established. Yes, thanks for that question. Sadc was established with a mandate, a specific mandate that we're given to promote renewable energy and energy efficiency so that we can contribute to addressing key challenging issues that we face as a region, which is low access to modern and affordable energy services, but also at the same time the energy security issues that we face as a region. We are not secure as a region as a whole. There are key areas that we are focusing on to address those challenges. I'll start off with the issues of energy efficiency. the EU has coined a term that efficiency first. And efficiency first means that before you do anything, you need to ensure that the little resources that you have, you have to use them wisely, you have to use them efficiently. So there are a few specific projects that we're working on energy efficiency, and these are primarily to drive the agenda of the region. The first one was looking at the issue of lighting. We spent quite a lot of resources on energy, on lighting. I think at global level, I think the figures are in the range of 17% of the energy is used for lighting. So the ministers responsible for energy in 2015 put a decision to phase out inefficient lighting. But then there was an issue to say, how then do you implement that decision? So SACRI then was mandated to put in place mechanisms to phase out inefficient lighting. So we then, with partners such as the Swedish government through SIDA, and with the support of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, we set up the Energy Efficient Lighting and Appliances Project, ELA in short. Through ELA then we set up minimum managed performance, we set out to put in place standards, the minimum managed performance standards for energy efficient lighting and appliance, for energy efficient lighting. So these minimum managed performance standards, or MEPS in short, were developed at the regional level, and we are glad that these standards now have been adopted at national level. So a number of countries are already developing these minimum managed performance standards. We've gone on another step with the support also of UNEP to start implementing or developing standards for cooling appliances like refrigerators and air conditioners. The next phase of ELA, we are looking at expanding this project and also to cover the rest of the African continent on looking also at productive use. But we're also having national activities in Zimbabwe and Zambia, which have just commenced to support the industrial sector on energy efficiency. The next project, also energy efficiency, which can also be related to renewable energies on water heating. The Excellency, the Ambassador of Austria to Sadc, spoke about the Salt Rain project, solar water heating. We are wasting a lot of energy on heating water. Studies, depending on circumstances, but you can waste up to about 45% of your electricity on heating water alone. So we've got a project on Salt Rain, which has been spoken widely about. But we're also looking at renewable energy. Projects on renewable energy are varied. We're working with the Southern African Power Pool. For instance, we've just finished a project called AREP. My colleague Steve, I think, will talk about it. Here we've supported training on planning for electricity, integrated resource planning. We've also supported training on storage, energy storage, that is looking at batteries mainly. And we also have developed some knowledge tools that can be used by different member states. And then we have also looked at the issues of green hydrogen. On green hydrogen, together with SASCA, we have mapped and developed an atlas for green hydrogen. And that atlas is available to be utilized. So we're looking into the future. You know, green hydrogen is the new word in town. So we're working on that. And lastly, on access, there's also the issue of SADC has adopted what you call the Water Energy Food Nexus. So the Water Energy Food Nexus is a framework because, you know, 70% of our population relies on agriculture and rain-fed agriculture. So we're saying, in order to transform rural economies, we need to integrate the water needs together with the energy needs and then support agriculture. So we've piloted Water Energy Food Nexus projects in Angola, Botswana, Namibia, Malawi, and Zambia. So I can say in brief, these are key focus areas that we've been focusing on since our establishment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kuda. Thank you for that. Yes, he's highlighted key areas for ensuring sustainable energy development. This one on energy efficiency is very important, not to say the others are not, because energy efficiency, it's something that everyone can do, from the household level, business level, we all can contribute to this, I would call visual power stations. Now I will turn to Mr. Diwa from the Southern African Power Pool. We know that the Southern African Power Pool is driving energy security through electricity planning, with generation and transmission amongst the member states. SAP is focused on expanding regional transmission infrastructure with projects like the Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, and Namibia transmission line that are sort of like easing electricity congestion. But we do see there are still challenges in the region when it comes to infrastructure. So I would like Mr. Diwa to please take us through the most critical challenges that SAP is facing in ensuring reliable electricity access. And also please do talk to grid stability issues, Mr. Diwa, and also how, as a region, how can regional cooperation help to mitigate the challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. Good afternoon, colleagues. So, Director, as you are aware, SAP was established in order to ensure that there is coordination in the power sector in the region. And currently we are focusing on the mainland states, and you are very correct. The target was to ensure that there are adequate generation and transmission projects, but at the end of the day, there should be security of supply in the region. We know that each country tries to ensure that there is security of supply for itself as a country, but because they might not necessarily have enough resources to be able to do that, this is why regional integration becomes critical. Over the years, we've been trying to coordinate, particularly the development of more transmission interconnectors. The original interconnectors were driven by bilateral arrangements between neighbors. But you notice that in now trying to get funding for those projects, part of the challenge is trying then to get the utilities of those countries to underpin the financing of those projects. With the challenges that some of the utilities are facing, that becomes quite a difficult process to get through. We then had the opportunity to try and assess what the challenges are. We have engaged a lot of the financial institutions to hear what they are saying. Why are they not putting money on the table? Yet we say we've got a whole pipeline of projects. That process has been able to make us identify some of the issues that the financiers have raised. One of the main ones being, look, you talk about projects, but we don't see bankable documentation for those projects. We therefore started a process where we needed to look at these projects critically. We are happy that we were assisted by some of our international cooperating partners. We established a project advisory unit that now try to ensure that each of these projects have bankable documentation to say this project is viable. But what we also did was a critical assessment of the main needs. I think you heard from earlier talks around what are some of the challenges around the integration of the region. Number one, we currently still have 3 countries that are not yet interconnected with the rest of the members. So we've prioritized those projects that will bring those 3 countries to be interconnected, i.e. Angola, Tanzania, and Malawi. We are happy to report that Malawi is already being interconnected now through the Mozambique-Malawi interconnection that is going on. The idea was then to quickly package those projects that will bring those 3 members on board. What you will note, especially when we talk about sustainable energy development, for example, you note that Tanzania has completed a hydropower project with over 2,000 megawatts. And if they were interconnected to the region would then benefit access to that clean energy. Similarly, Angola is sitting with a lot of excess energy, once again, from clean hydro plants. This again could be brought into the region, and we need those interconnectors. We've then come in to ensure that there are feasibility studies for all those critical transmission projects that will bring on board these new members. Secondly, we noted while we are coordinating trading, by the way, that's part of our role, to facilitate trading among the member states. And this is not bilateral trading, but this is a power exchange that goes across all the members. And we've then identified some transmission bottlenecks during the process of trading. And we then realized it's important that we package projects that will eliminate those bottlenecks. That becomes our second level of priority to look at in terms of then funding. Third level, earlier on there was a mention of a lot of large regional projects that are being planned to take place, and some of them are a bit advanced. Talk about Mpandangua project in Mozambique. You talk about Batoka between Zambia and Zimbabwe. You talk about Inga, which has been on the table for several years. What we then need is to be able to get transmission corridors that can move power from those big hydro plants. But not only that, we do have countries in the region that are more resourced for certain renewable energy projects. For example, here in Botswana, there's a lot of solar power that is available that could then be developed for the sake of the rest of the region. Similarly, Namibia has got a lot of resources around solar and wind. It then becomes critical that we develop transmission corridors that can move that power from those high sources to the rest of the region. We noted the challenges about financing, and we've come to the conclusion that it's better if these projects are geared for regional benefits, then we need to try and develop those projects from a regional perspective rather than from a national perspective. And to that effect, we're looking at possibilities of establishing some regional facilities in an innovative manner that will allow the funding of those projects. So we are then involved in ensuring that there is a coordinated planning of both transmission and generation. We are also looking at how that planning will take advantage of ensuring that renewable energies are actually put in the system. As a result, we are aware of the challenges of intermittency of renewable, for example. And we try and ensure that as part of the analytical process, we look at solutions to take advantage of regional interconnections in order to reduce the impact of intermittency. We also try and take advantage of regional interconnections to ensure that where there are shortages, other members will help to fill the gap. While the challenges seem to be more of a financial nature, they always say, capital always flows where there is a need, provided there's clarity around the need. And I think we've been concentrating on providing that clarity, and we're expecting then that capital will flow. Great challenges have been taking place. Part of our role is also to coordinate the system operations aspect. And by coming together, we've managed to get solutions that we believe work for our region. And I know some of the challenges are slowly coming in hand. And I think, in a nutshell, those are some of the things that we're doing to try and ensure sustainable development of the power sector in the region.
Thank you. Let's please, yes. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Mr. Diwe, for, it's very comforting that you are already tackling this, I think I would call it the main barrier, being financing of these projects, because you find that projects are there, but maybe they are not refined to be at the bankable stage, hence they will not be attracting financing. So we really appreciate the work that SAP is already doing in terms of funding for these projects. I will now move to Mr. Francois. Mr. Francois is from RERA. And we know RERA has got a mandate of harmonizing regulatory frameworks amongst the Sadc region. And this is important to foster a conducive environment for investment and also to enhance energy access and also security. RERA has worked, but there are challenges that are still there. of unequal energy access, issues of unreliable grids, and also underdeveloped cross-border trading infrastructure that Mr. Diwe has also alluded to. Now, the question to you then, Mr. Francois, is, now considering all these challenges, how is RERA working, of course, with member states, to ensure that these regulatory frameworks are aligned? Because it's important that they are aligned, because it is only then that they are able to promote not only energy security, but also increase the adoption of renewable energy in the region. So can you just take us through what RERA is doing, working with member states to ensure regulatory frameworks are harmonized? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and thank you all participants. Yeah, you have raised two important aspects, energy access, grid stability, and also cross-border regulations. Those are all part of regulatory instruments developed by specific regulators. My colleague here have mentioned their responsibility regarding managing demand and supply. At RERA, we are setting the rules of engagement. If you want to set up a power plant, irrespective of the size, you have to understand what are the regulations. That is where RERA comes in. But before I respond to your question, let me just briefly talk about RERA in general. RERA is the Regional Energy Regulators Association of Southern Africa, and it's a formal association of energy regulators in the Sadc region. Now, the mandate of RERA is built around four main objectives. First, capacity building and information sharing. We regularly meet and to build capacity amongst the regulators as well as share information, especially regarding new developments in the energy sector. Secondly, as regulators, we are also involved in facilitating energy sector policies, legislation, and trade. Thirdly, a very important aspect is consumer protection and communication services, and largely is now regional regulation cooperation. Now, back to your question, RERA plays a pivotal role in harmonizing energy regulatory frameworks across member states to enhance energy security and promote the adoption of renewable energy. By fostering regional integration and cooperation, RERA addresses common challenges and leverages collective strength to advance sustainable energy solutions. First, through harmonization, RERA works closely with national energy regulators to align policies, because we don't want, when investors come, the policies, there's a big difference between one country compared to while they're operating in, under the power pool. So this harmonization facilitates cross-border energy trade, reduces regulatory barriers, attracts investment in the energy sector. For instance, RERA has been instrumental in developing the renewable energy and energy efficiency policy and regulatory guidelines. We came up with guidelines to assist member countries to develop specific regulatory frameworks that promote energy efficiency and also the necessary regulations. RERA, in collaboration with the African Development Bank, recently commissioned a project to address regional harmonization of regulatory frameworks and tools for improved electricity regulation in the Sadc region. Now, this project will develop the region further more regarding the regulatory aspects. We're targeting looking at to improve efficiency aspects. We want to develop performance indicators, not only for the regulators, but also for the players, the utilities, including the power pools. So we are looking, we have commenced, and towards the end of this year, we will have that harmonized tool and framework. When we talk about cost-reflective tariffs, the definition will be standardized in the whole region. That's what we are aiming to do with this project. A second aspect, we also look at capacity building. I've mentioned it earlier on. Now, RERA members, we met about twice a year to discuss issues of development. So at these platforms, we raise issues regarding what are the challenges the member states experience. And then at that platforms, we also then do a peer review of member regulators in terms of how are they performing. I'm also proud to say that all regulators in the Sadc region, based on the recent ranking assessment conducted by the African Development Bank, all of the regulators in the Sadc region meet the minimum requirements in terms of operating the energy sector. So it's a very good achievement for the Sadc region. Those are the hard works for the past 20 years we put into place regarding regulations in the industry. Lastly, RERA actively engages in advocacy to influence energy policy that support renewable energy adoption by providing a platform for a dialogue among member states. RERA ensures that energy policies are aligned with regional goals for sustainable development and energy security. This collaborative approach helps in addressing regulatory hurdles and also creating an enabling environment for renewable energy investments. So in short, through these concerted efforts, RERA significantly contributes to the advancements of renewable energy adoption in Southern Africa, ensuring that regulatory frameworks are aligned to promote both energy security and the integration of renewable energy. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Francois. He's really highlighted the key areas of how the regulators are working to harmonize regulatory frameworks in order to support the cross-border power trading and sustainable energy developments. To Ms. Vitina, we know that we have the Danish Energy Agency that supports the Sadc transition from fossil fuels. And through a number of strategies for managing this, for instance, the renewable energy variability. We know also that the agency also emphasizes capacity building through fostering collaboration amongst local stakeholders. Now, the question for you then is, what are those specific strategies that the agency is employing to support the integration of renewable energy into the Sadc region's infrastructure? And also, how do you envision overcoming the challenges related to grid stability, as well as energy storage? You know, the challenges associated with the variability of renewable energy. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be a part of this esteemed panel, and I think there's been lots of very important and crucial points already mentioned. Maybe in lieu of a brief intro, I'm representing the Danish Energy Agency, and I'm kind of wearing two hats now. On the one hand, DEA has had very well-established and successful cooperation with the South Africa, and on the other hand, I'm heading up the secretariat at the DEA, looking into providing capacity building and technical assistance under the APRA Accelerated Partnership for Renewables in Africa program that Director General of IRENA wonderfully presented and indeed champions in his capacity. Now, what are the strategies for integrating renewables? We have over 25 countries as our partners at the Danish Energy Agency, and there are indeed lots of parallels that we see and where we try to provide knowledge sharing and peer-to-peer exchanges, where we try to, for example, take professionals from the Danish national regulator, have direct interaction with the national regulator colleagues in the partner country, or transmission system operators. The Danish Energinet would indeed have in-country visits or have study tours to Denmark from our partner countries to get really hands-on impression and very direct knowledge of what has worked in Denmark, in Scandinavia, towards the establishment of regional power markets. Now, as to specific strategies, there's 3 points I would like to mention, and one is, of course, to support the current drive to liberalization of energy sector and the power market development. Which clearly is an enabler for renewable energy to be able to compete under well-established merit order dispatch. Renewables will be competitive, and this we have seen throughout in Nord Pool, in the Nordics, in Europe. This is very important to really catalyze faster and more efficient establishment of renewables. And also, through this, we try to provide the help to market-based power sector, where, of course, seeing the current challenges in the Sadc region, it would be the market forces, market dynamics that would help balance supply and demand and also drive investments. The second point, and this will echo very much with a colleague from RERA, who was just emphasizing the very strong role of national regulatory authorities. We try to support the evolution of regulatory frameworks. There is a lot of changes in processes, in setups, in rules and regulations that happens in a liberalized market. Very strong point is to try to help achieving cost-reflective tariffs, also touched upon by the colleague here, because without having cost-reflective tariffs, the utilities have absolutely no way of recouping their costs and have enough funds to make additional investments and make sure that the existing infrastructure can be maintained. Now, another important point is transparency in tariff settings, because of course cost-reflective tariffs, they should be high enough to recoup investment, but they should not be so high that it actually becomes unjust to the tariff payers. So this is also a very important role where we try to provide experiences from Denmark. And last but not least, also provide choice of awareness of what are the tools that could empower the regulatory authorities to apply incentives and sanctions in an effective and fair manner. The third and last point I would want to mention is definitely the role of transmission system operators in a number of countries, and also in our Sadc region cooperation. We have had very extensive peer-to-peer exchanges between the Danish national TSO and Energinet, and as you know, in Denmark we're operating with around 60%, 60, of variable renewables in the power system, where they try to provide, you know, very real, very hands-on, effective and workable tools of how this has been achieved to their respective peers and partners in the partner transmission system operator. And here we can be talking both about how do you forecast the variable renewables effectively, what are the rules and regulations for dispatch so that you're not disadvantaging the renewables unjustly, and how do you generally empower the TSO to feel confident operating with very high shares of variable renewables. I think I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Vitina, for the good work that the Danish Energy Agency is doing to support the region in the adoption of renewable energy. We will now move on to the representative of the International Renewable Energy Agency, Mr. Gaborone. And we know that IRENA is actively involved in promoting renewable energy across the Sadc region. We've also heard that from the Director General himself when he was delivering his remarks. Now, Mr. Gaborone, given the vast renewable potential in the region, but still we have a significant energy access challenges. You heard in the morning that the average access rate is around 52% for the region. Now, how is IRENA supporting those priority projects? Some of the projects you've heard about from the panelists, that that they can enhance energy security in the region. How is IRENA supporting those projects whilst also addressing issues of grid stability and access issues? And if there are any barriers to achieving some of these objectives of energy security, please do indicate those. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's really a great pleasure to be part of this panel. And let me start with the global picture, because I think we don't have any doubt that there is a strong political commitment to clean energy transition. We see it clearly, messages coming from the COPs, climate conferences. At the Dubai COP 2 years ago, COP28, there was a global commitment to tripling renewables by 2030, which translates into 1,000 gigawatt renewables power installed each and every year until 2030. It's a very strong commitment, but do we see the sufficient action on the ground to achieve it? When we look at the number 2023, it is 473 gigawatt installed. The 2024 numbers, they haven't come out yet, but we are expecting also an even further increase on that. But still, we are far from achieving 1,000 gigawatt every year, and each and every year we don't achieve 1,000 gigawatt, we need more installed in the remaining years. Obviously, there are a number of challenges, number of issues that needs to be addressed, but I will really want to focus on 3 important barriers in that picture. First one is clearly the infrastructure. We simply do not have sufficient infrastructure to keep up with the ambition. And we need to invest in infrastructure, grids, and this issue is not a problem for developing countries only. Even when you go to developed countries in Europe, in US, you see that the grid is not able to keep up with the ambition. When you look at the region, especially the Sadc region, as countries are integrating more and more solar and wind into their grid, more intermittent power, immediately discussion starts whether our grid is ready to take it. 5% solar and wind, 10% beyond it, we have to do something, we should stop. But I think the better approach is definitely looking at the broader picture of power system flexibility. So it is not only the grid question, it is not only this supply question or what your supply mix is, but equally is about the demand side. It is about how you make and operate your system more flexibly when bringing in storage into it, where it is needed along the power system. What is your interconnections? That's why interconnections is extremely important to be able to make the system more flexible. So I think having this broader approach and not only you have to have firm power to be able to match, to be able to make the system reliable, but this is not the kind of best approach and better look into overall system flexibility. I think the second point is, I think it has been highlighted by also the previous speakers, the investment and finance. Look at the investments in sub-Saharan Africa, in broadly, in the last 20 years for renewable energy. It is less than 2%. It is an alarm figure. Clearly, that whatever we have done didn't work. I mean, there has to be something different needs to be done to be able to scale up investments into renewable energy and energy transition in the continent. Obviously, large part of renewable energy investments, they very much rely on private investments, private investors. Private investors look into risk profiles in those countries. And if then this comes up with, if the higher the risk, then they come up with the higher risk premium. And the cost of capital and financing goes up. What is the end result? End result is, in many instances, those countries or populations with lowest income, they get electricity at the highest price, and to be able to address their needs. We need public finance, we need more public money, we need both locally and internationally, and we need to use it wisely, especially given that so many different priorities that governments have in terms of the use of public finance. Catalyzing private investments is one of the wise use of that money. And a key issue obviously here, many countries are facing the debt stress, and they are not able to access to public finance sufficiently. So when we look at the development funding, ODAs, given the geopolitical conjecture right now, I think it will be wishful thinking we will have more and more ODA coming in, especially in the developing countries. Look at the climate finance. And what's the track record of sub-Saharan Africa in accessing to climate finance? I think there's definitely ways to increase that the region, the continent should be able to access the climate finance. But we need to look into also other options. What are the other non-traditional ways of bringing public funding? Looking into mechanisms, how we can bring in institutional financiers, looking into sovereign funds, looking into philanthropies, looking into the carbon finance. What are the options and how we can mobilize more funding into Africa? The third point that I will finish with that is it is important to bring more renewables into the grid and deploy more renewables. But also it is equally important that we have the strong ripple effect of energy transition in our economies. So the connection between energy and development, and how we can stimulate economic activity, how we can create more local value for the countries, how we can increase employment. I think these are important factors that we need to look at. In fact, IRENA's approach will be is already along those lines. The APRA program that we have initiated in Africa, IRENA's flagship program with the partners, I think it very much promotes green industrialization, how we can create value, local value around manufacturing certain equipment, looking into critical minerals and create economy around it and stimulate green industrialization in the regions. Look at the energy access question. That's the similar approach that we envisage. It is not only about simple electrification solutions, but equally about productive use of energy in different instances, and how we can achieve a sectoral transformation with energy as an input into it, and putting productivity, efficiency, and affordability in the center of this discussion. Just one, I want to finish with the two examples from Malawi and Mozambique that we have been working with them in integrating decentralized renewable energy solutions into agriculture and health value chains. In Malawi, for instance, 50% of dairy farmers lack electricity, leading to significant milk wastage. Only investing around $15 million US dollars, we can boost dairy productivity and reduce losses, milk wastage by 50%, and impacting more than 20,000 farmers. Similarly, in Mozambique, we are a program on in the health context, and how we can develop energy solutions for rural health clinics. Again, according to our estimate, around $16 million US dollar investment with PV solutions into 1,600 healthcare facilities, rural healthcare facilities in Mozambique, we can improve the access to a healthcare system by 90% of the population. So I think these are all important figures. It's showing clearly energy is an input into the development of the specific sectors, how we can improve access to several services, public services, essential services, but also stimulate economic activity in the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was quite comprehensive, and you also touched on the various models, funding models that could be explored. And we appreciate the great work that Irina is doing, also in terms of mobilizing funding for the projects through matching of projects with potential financiers. So thank you very much. We now move to our last panelist. Mr. Lesego, from the Botswana Power Corporation, the sole electricity provider for Botswana. So we know that BPC, just like most other utilities, faces the challenge of balancing growing energy demand with sustainable and reliable power generation. And that historically, Botswana has been dependent on coal-fired power plants like the Moropulo B, and that we know that Botswana is working very hard to diversify the energy mix through projects like expanding the solar capacity. Now, what can you say are the key challenges that the utility is currently facing in ensuring reliable and sustainable energy access, both locally in Botswana and also in the context of the Sadc region? So please do highlight any specific barriers in the transitioning from coal to the renewable energy sources such as solar. And then how the issue of the grid stability and also distribution issues, please also touch on that one as you expand on your renewable energy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll start off just to say that Botswana Power Corporation, as you have rightly said, it's a vertically integrated power utility. One of our key areas is universal access. It's an area that we have done exceptionally well as a country. Currently, we are sitting at 76% access to electricity. That is household connections. And we are at 84% rural electrification. We have also done a lot with regards to making power affordable. So we have introduced zero connections through the NEF and the National Electricity Standard Cost Schemes. That has resulted in doubling up of the electrification rate, and we foresee ourselves to be number at least 2 by the end of next year in the region. We are currently number 6 in Africa, so we should be number 5 by the end of next year. The target is to have universal access, that is 100% by 2030. So it's an area that we have also empowered our suppliers, which are citizen-owned companies, and we foresee that going forward in terms of assisting the region, it's a potential area for us as a country and also the region to benefit, to learn from our electrification program and also our institutional arrangements and schemes that we have put in place to make this a reality. So it's an area that we should be able to assist the region with and take our companies there to handhold others in the region so that we have the right capacity in the region to undertake rural and access projects. One of the other key things is to ensure that we have affordable power to our citizens and the companies that we serve. So we are working closely with government on different programs to ensure that even as new capacity is being developed, it's the least cost through the integrated resource plan. The government has also been steadfast in terms of liberalization of the electricity supply industry. We have now all the generation capacity that is being developed, being done through the independent power producers. Botswana Power Corporation, unfortunately, we are not allowed to play in that space, which most of the speakers here have said it's one of the key enablers for providing sustainable energy. So in 2007, just to give context, there was an amendment to the Electricity Supply Act that enabled that we can have players in the different sections of the segments of the electricity supply industry. Just moving on to what we are doing with regards to renewables and ensuring that they contribute to the energy mix. His Excellency the President, Advocate Duma Gideon Boko, mentioned earlier that there's an ambition to, in 4 years, an intent to develop 8,000 megawatts of power. So it's one of the things that one of the speakers here has also mentioned, that you require political commitment. So there's been a lot of political commitment in achieving this reality. So we are currently developing 1.5 gigawatts of solar through different technologies. Right now, this week, we'll be commissioning 50 megawatts of solar in Madinare. The total from that project is 100 megawatts. So phase 1 is being commissioned this week, and we expect the other one end of this year. We are also developing another one in Joining, another 100 megawatts, which is expected next year. Then Letlhakane, 100 megawatts, which is also expected next year. We are also working on 100 megawatts of wind, which is expected in 2027. There is a renewable energy support and accelerator project that we are working with the World Bank. That is really working on a battery energy storage system, which adds up to 50 megawatts, which will be really meant for grid stabilization and also managing the variable energy integration. His Excellency also mentioned that as we are doing the just energy transition, we should be cognizant of our environment and what is in the country. So there is also a 600 megawatt project, which is coal, which is being developed. Botswana is endowed with lots of coal, and I would also just hasten to share that as we are developing this, we are using also the best technologies to reduce carbon emissions. So it's not just the old technologies that were used way back. We are using better, improved technologies. One of the key challenges, as you have asked the moderator, it's on transmission. The transmission that we have was really meant for the capacity that we had back then. But what we are currently doing, we are developing the Northwest Transmission Grid 2, which will connect Botswana with Zimbabwe, Zambia, Namibia, and Namibia. This is Zabona that Rediwa mentioned earlier. So that we expect it to be completed by 2027. We are also looking at other regional integration projects such as Botswana, South Africa. I know we are having early conversations and other conversations with Namibia and others. So there's a huge opportunity. I wouldn't say there are challenges. There's a huge opportunity to invest in transmission, solar PV integration, because as Botswana, we are looking to be the net exporter of power, so that we should achieve by 2027, 28. And as mentioned, we are looking to invest further into this area. And there's a lot of appetite, not just from citizens, but from regional partners and also international partners who are willing to invest in this area. There has been a lot of commitment as we have signed a lot of PPAs. The IPPs have also reached financial close, so it shows that there is interest with regarding to funding and also supporting our journey into becoming a sustainable energy producer as a country. With that, I thank you.
Thank you very much, BPC, for highlighting to us the work that BPC is doing. And also, I think the support you have committed that BPC is able to assist other countries on issues of, for instance, electrification. And the 76% is quite impressive for Botswana. Congratulations for achieving that. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, wonderful panelists. I will now turn to the audience and open up for questions, for input. Yes, please raise your hand, and then we'll have, I think our ushers will be coming to you with a mic. Thank you very much.
Also an executive member of the Solar Industry Association of Botswana. This is a comment, maybe question, and maybe challenge to the panelists and to all the delegates present here today. One of the speakers this morning spoke that it's time to move from planning to action, to execute. And a lot of what I've heard from the panelists today, a lot of what I know, is that we've done an awful lot of studies, preparation, alignment between World Bank, IRENA, objectives, SACRI, SAPP, the Danish, the Americans, the Chinese, everyone. Some really, really, really good work. And there's a lot of alignment. So my challenge and observation is and question is, what are we doing? And let me put it in terms of a challenge. From this Sustainable Energy Week, if we focus more on what do we need to do to stop studying and shift into execution mode. Right now on the stage, the brains necessary to coordinate that, let's do this, Botswana do this, let's coordinate this, and let's make execute action. We know always, and we all deal with it in various ways, there's institutional sort of territorialism, sometimes within countries, between private sector and the government, between government departments within a single country, and across international agencies as well. But on the stage, everyone in this room is committed to the same high ideals. So the challenge I put to us all in the plenary here is, let's shift our mode of thinking into let's execute, not another study, not another what do we do next, not another consultancy, but just a coordination of the brains here, maybe some ongoing forum of dialogue where everyone's, sorry I'm just being fun, but one big old WhatsApp group that says let's get this going. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to trivialize it, but I'm trying to put it in terms of let's flip into action mode as a team. Team Sadc, Team Southern Africa, and move into action. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that insight to say we have talked. So it's now the time to action, and not to also action in silos, but collectively. we can achieve when we work collectively. I think that was an observation from the audience to say, let's continue to work together, but put more emphasis now on the action. Let's action. So I want to believe when we meet in Zimbabwe, we will have a panel that will be talking to what have we done or what are we doing. So thank you very much. Okay, I'm still looking. Yes, there is a hand over there. There are two hands actually. Please, ushers, assist. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I believe I'm audible. I was just testing the mic. Let me also take this opportunity to thank the panelists, and in particular, speaker number 5, that's Mr. Gubuz Gonal, the Director of Country Engagement. When the discussions were going on, I was thinking, I'm looking forward to hearing something to do with energy as an input towards the cost of doing business. And what is it that we are doing as energy providers or companies that are charged with providing energy to look into how are we impacting on the productivity of organizations. And only Mr. Gonal touched deeply on it. And I think it's a conversation that I'd like to take after this session, maybe during lunch with you. The other speaker that touched something on it is Ms. Aizma, when she talked about the tax rates and ensuring that they are, the people who are paying are able to afford that. And I think those were good deliberations, but I think it's something that we need to look deeply into, because businesses, one of the major cost drivers is energy. Without energy, we cannot claim to even become competitive. And ultimately, the economy suffers as a whole. I thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your valuable inputs. It's appreciated. Can we have the next question? Because some of these are just observations, not questions to be responded to. So can we have then the next question? I saw there was a hand in the middle.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thankfully, this is a question. My name is Anna Makwete. I'm from the iTrack Foundation. I'm curious about the 600 megawatt coal plant. And with all the global standards and commitments that Botswana is committed to, I just wonder how this is aiming to meet financial close. Thank you.
Thank you. BPC, can you respond to that?
Thank you for the question. It's expected. As I mentioned earlier, what we intend to do is to reduce our reliance on coal. And I've mentioned already that we will be developing substantial amount of renewable energy, which in terms of proportion, it should reduce as we move forward. And as we intend to even go further to develop 8,000 megawatts, so eventually it will be very, very insignificant as we move forward. That's how we approach it. We are cognizant of all these. And as I mentioned also, there is what's usually referred to as just energy transition, that we have to be alive, that we have other minerals that we have to use as countries. And like for example, for coal, we need to see how best technologies that we can use. If I can stop there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Now I will take us through the very last round. It's not going to be questions now, but just some parting words from each of our panelists. In terms of, we've heard about the landscape, the energy landscape in the Sadc region. We've heard about the challenges that are there. Now, can you just give your parting words as we conclude this session? So we'll move from Mr. Kuda to the last panelist.
Sorry, Tabile, I see there's a hand there. If
hand.
you have a moment, I can allow you.
Oh, okay,
a moment
yes,
to take.
yes, please. There are two, actually. But let's allow them, please, briefly.
Agreed.
Good day, everybody. My name is Brighton Socks. I wanted to find out, since it's good that we started with this conversation before we got to the ministers, right? What policy changes or regulatory reforms are needed to fast-track the regional interconnection of projects and streamline cross-border energy trade?
Okay, can we please take the other one?
Thank you so much. My name is Shamil Dumisangahosi, and I'm the Managing Director for Squaregate Group. We are an ESG and sustainability advisory firm. My question is really to Rera. Maybe Irina could also perhaps maybe give benchmarks in terms of how are we planning to address the challenges of solar waste as well as end-of-life management for, for these projects. And this is simply because in as much as we're making, in as much as we're working towards, solar integration for the energy mix in Southern Africa or Africa in general, we need to be thinking beyond generation towards responsible disposal and recycling. So I'm interested to see where you are in that regard.
Okay, thank you very much. So I am going to allocate the question on policy interventions to SAP, Mr. Diwa. Policy interventions for the interconnections, and then the one on solar waste disposal to Irina. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's obviously important that the policies should create an enabling environment. And our observation is, you will notice that some countries have had certain policy changes that are allowing more participation of players, leading to further developments in interconnections. So policy interventions that are required will be those policies that open up the playing field in the power sector. This could be in terms of how you allow more players than the vertically integrated utilities, or even if you leave the vertically integrated utility in place, the policies should allow cost recovery for whatever investments that will be put in the sector. We talk about the fact that markets seem to be driving more development than just looking at it from a point of view of just running utilities as they are. We therefore expect policies that will open up the market at various levels within the value chain for power supply. Thank you.
Thank you. In fact, it's about creating an effective circular economy around energy transition, and solar being an important part of it. Obviously, this is linked to several dimensions of the solar value chain. It's about the durability of the equipment, how long we can use the equipment, and how we can extend the lifetime of equipment. It is about the maintenance, how easy to repair those products, and to be able to, again, extend the lifetime of usage. But at the end of the day, it is also about how we can create a closed loop system, recyclable or achieve recyclability of the equipment that we use for solar and other renewable energy technologies to be able to use them again for new products. I think there is a lot of work being done around it, and there's definitely a clear understanding of what needs to be done. And now this, I think we are having these first products coming out of as a waste from solar implementations. I think in the coming period, this topic will be more and more important, and will need to be closely looked into in different different geographies that these implementations are made.
Madam Moderator.
Okay.
Can you indulge me with the last one, the question?
Or the last, yes.
Yes, please.
Hand. It's the last one.
Yes, thank you so much. I would like to commend our BPC, Botswana, for the numbers that they have reported. I think it's a big progress. Our company, iCarbon, Botswana, was used by BPC to promote a rooftop net metering. And I just want to hear from BPC how they have incentivized that program and what's the uptake of the program so far. And I think he also should maybe also allude to the efficiencies because it is reported that for the electricity that is generated, about 60% of it goes to waste. So what are we doing to bring efficiencies on the ground? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This one is targeted for BPC. Please, BPC, the rooftop program.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. With the rooftop solar program, I didn't mention it, but it's one of the initiatives by government and ourselves to drive sustainable energy from households, commercial, and also industrial users. So at first, we had an allocation of 10 megawatts, which was surpassed in terms of application. We have seen a lot of appetite from the commercial. And late last year, the guidelines for rooftop solar were revised to incentivized. If you recall, they were limiting in terms of the capacity that you could apply for. So we foresee that this will also be revised going forward to further incentivize households and the commercial and industrial users. And we foresee other consideration for other incentives which will really ensure that there is a higher uptake. With regards to the inefficiencies, it's something that also has to do with having proper infrastructure to ensure that we take full, should I say, benefit of the solar rooftops, particularly referring to the smart grid. It's one area that we are working on so that we will be able to have clearer understanding of what's happening in the grid with the technologies that would have put in place. It's an area that we have started working on. We'll be working on a pilot program, thereafter roll it out. So it's one area that we'll be keenly looking into because, as you know, the intermittency of solar, it makes it difficult, and also our ability to even see what's happening at your household. So that infrastructure will help us to be able to see what's happening in your infrastructure, in the grid, and many others. And that should improve efficiencies going forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, PPC. Yes, thank you. We are now working towards finalizing or closing the discussion. And I would like each of our panelists to just say some parting words, and just to give assurances to the audience.
Moderator, thank you. But I'll start off by maybe just also adding on to a question on e-waste. Yes, as SACRI, we have actually taken initiative to look at the electronic waste guidelines. So we've developed electronic waste guidelines. We've looked at different products, from lighting products, other electronic appliances, but we've also looked at solar panels. And from the guidelines that we've developed, from the study that we've done, we've seen that at the moment the capacity to recycle most of the electronic waste products is very limited in the member states, save for one or two. So we're calling for a coordinated way of managing the electronic waste so that we can recover some of the materials. So from the solar panels, there are quite a few materials or minerals that can be recovered. But if this can be coordinated so that at least you can put it to scale and maybe use that e-waste as an export product, then ship it to countries where they can really recover and extract some valuable materials. So in the coming months, we'll be talking to different stakeholders especially with the guidance of the Ministries of Environment, to ensure that these e-waste guidelines are adopted at regional level and then at national level. I just wanted to share with you those, and we'll be happy to receive your inputs into these e-waste guidelines. So, Moderator, as parting shot from my side, I'm calling on member states to pay an attentive ear to what the stakeholders are asking for. You know, investors, and if we talk of investors, we're not only talking of international investors, even local investors. They are not happy to be sent from pillar to post. They want clear guidelines. If you are going to procure 100 megawatts, let it be clear how are you procuring that 100 megawatts. Who do you want to buy that? What is the eligibility of that? And who is the off-taker of that power? And if I'm going to export that power, let it be clear how is the owner of the transmission lines going to allow me to export that power. So those things need to be very clear. And then secondly, we've heard about climate finance as some of the tools that are available. Let's empower our development finance institutions so that they can help us to prepare projects to be bankable. And through these development finance institutions, we can then tap into some of the funding that is available from climate finance. But also internally, let's tap into some of the resources from our pension funds. There are a lot of funds that are available from our pension funds. Let's harness those funds so that we can channel them into developing renewable energy projects. And lastly, Moderator, empowering locals. Let's empower them. Let's not be shy. Let's use renewables as an avenue, renewable energy and energy efficiency as an avenue to empower locals. We have had a program together with IRENA where we're training entrepreneurs. We trained about 157 entrepreneurs. And we're happy that as we were progressing with that project, we saw more and more women coming in on board on that project. We are doing the same also with Soul Train and others. So let's push and empower the locals. With that, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kuda. Mr. Tiwa?
Thank you very much, Moderator. My parting statements will be, some of you in the countries that you probably are, if you're coming from the region, you have observed load shedding taking place. That tells you there is still huge power shortages in the region. And because there is still those power shortages, it then tells you a story that there is need for more investments, both from a generation point of view and from a transmission point of view. And my words to you are, maybe let's look at driving these investments from a market point of view. There is a regional market which has been growing over time, and that market can underpin investments, but not only that, that market can help even address generation mix issues, and it will allow us to transition from the current fuel source-based generation base to allow more renewables to come in a coordinated manner. So as stakeholders, I think let's look at the opportunities that the market placed before us and look at regional development. Thank you.
Thank you. I think my parting shots would be that what we've observed that the current regulations are fairly well developed and fully implemented in the region. But what I will foresee is that within the next 5 years, how ready are we in terms of the rollout of AI technologies? You see, and there will be a revolution in the next 2 to 3 years in the energy space regarding AI technologies. Are we ready? So that is the question we should ask ourselves. As RERA, a regional regulatory body, we are looking at developing guidelines, how we can manage data in the energy sector. But this revolution should mainly be driven by the youth in terms of new technology, how can they use AI technologies to improve. We look at other sectors, for example, the medicine world or even the mining sector. You will find by the introduction of AI technologies, the result is better efficiencies and lower costs. Hopefully that will be the case, the same case in the energy space. Thank you.
Hello? Yes. Sorry, just as the final words towards this panel, one thing I would like to highlight is that, for example, one of the reasons, or one of the main reasons that we are talking about regional power markets as a really, really desirable thing is because it's a very, very cost-effective way of integrating large amounts of variable, cheap power into large areas. Now, while I believe everybody appreciates that it can be a very lengthy and complex process to launch a regional power market, and we all hope that the call to action can soon be materialized, we should in the meantime not just stand still while the kind of end game has approached. In the meantime, there are other very cost-effective energy integration measures that can be taken, and that would indeed help a whole lot when the power market would be up and running. One thing to consider is, for example, complementarity. Now, it's not entirely new, the concept of combining solar and wind and perhaps some fraction of battery in an operating entity, but truly, in many cases, you will observe that the production patterns of wind, they are quite complementary to the very concentrated way that solar is being dispatched. Trying to understand these interplays and trying to leverage this would bring immediate benefits in terms of delivering both very cost-effective power to the consumers that need it, and also delivering very cost-effective way of integrating this variability. The second thing I would want to mention is a more flexible operation of thermal power plants. Now, the Sadc region is endowed and blessed with so many different resources, and many of them are still having significant degrees of thermal and not least coal generation. Now, while coal is still a major part of the generation mix, and it still brings a lot of much needed power to the customers, it does have the tendency of not being extremely flexible. For example, you would have very high must-run requirement in terms of how many % of generation needs to be on at all times. This is not a given. There are ways, there are technological ways how you can indeed make thermal power plants much more flexible. This would bring immediate benefits to the possibility of national systems to integrate variable renewables and bring significant advantage to those thermal plants when power markets are up and running. And third and last one I'll mention is indeed forecasting. The variables are only variable and unpredictable to the extent that we cannot predict them. As soon as we have better methods, better approaches, and we have empowered the TSOs to use them, then the variable pattern becomes much less of an issue to actual operation. I think I shall stop here. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me take this question also in connection with the first comment or question made from the audience related to moving from studies to implementation. In fact, as IRENA, we do studies, we do analysis, we do assessments. For instance, in the Sadc region, or broadly in Africa, currently we are undertaking renewable RETOs, which is Regional Energy Transition Outlooks. These are important because to be able to give a right perspective, right vision into the countries and the region. And what are the technology options? What are the implications on socioeconomic impact of those energy transition, those transformation that will have impact? Then how this vision can be reflected into the planning processes in the countries in different levels, at continental level, regional level, country level. At the regional level, we collaborate with AUDA-NEPAD in CMP, Continental Master Plan Development, and try to bring in those knowledge and those perspectives into that. At the regional level, we closely collaborated with regional power pools. Currently, we are working with Central Africa Power Pool, but in the past, we worked with SAP and EAP, and especially providing capacity building and how the planning process can benefit from the vision. But at the country level, also, we work with the countries. For instance, with Eswatini, we worked a few years back in the development of their master plan, but not as kind of doing the job for themselves, but how we can work with them, increase capacities internally so that they can do it themselves, as master plans are the living documents and they need to be updated regularly. But this year is the year of NDCs, updating NDCs. These are important planning documents, and we work closely with a number of countries in Africa to how we can increase ambition on their side in terms of energy transition action. But you're completely right, it is important to translate this planning into implementations. And that's why we have those programs on the ground, like APRA, Accelerated Partnership for Renewables in Africa. It is about creating right investment frameworks in individual countries. It is about how we can mobilize more strongly private sector into it and how we can facilitate access to finance. And we have mechanisms with IRENA, facilitated by IRENA, like ETAF, that Director General highlighted, but also the other mechanisms offered by the partners. And this is how this transformation can take place and actual investments can take place at the end of the day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go.
Okay, thank you. My parting words are really that, one, it's important to achieve universal access. These days, it's very easy to develop generation capacity. As I mentioned, 100 megawatts can be done in 1 year. So it would not be a good thing to have lots of power, but our people are not connected. So it's very important that we focus on that. It's something that I've said that we have done, we are doing very well, and we are happy to assist the region. There's a lot of appetite with regards to setting up renewable plants in Botswana. We welcome investments. I've mentioned that there is a bottleneck of transmission. I'm happy that SAP is working on that, and we welcome more investments in that area so that we'll be able to transmit electricity to the region. We also see electricity industry as an enabler. So as much as we develop lots and lots of power, there has to be somewhere where it goes. So in tandem, we should also be developing other industries that will use the power that will be generating. So as we are doing this as the region, it's very important to look into other projects, manufacturing industries and others, that will take all these power, so that we don't have stranded assets. Because like I said, there's a lot of interest right now, appetite for funding, there's a buzz in terms of renewables. So it's important that we also look at other avenues that will take all this energy. Lastly, this also brings a lot of sophistication. My colleagues here have also mentioned that, we need to build a lot of capacity with regards to, markets that will be created by these renewables, grid management, integration to Internet of Things and AI and many others, coming up with carbon markets and others. So that's how we should look at this energy transition as a region. And as a country, we are always happy to collaborate and use every opportunity that we move together as a region, and we achieve energy secure region, and also that is sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, wonderful panelists, for the valuable parting words. And in the interest of time, I will end the panel discussion, and I want to express my gratitude to the panelists for their wonderful contributions, and I will ask that we put our hands together once more for them. Thank you, and I also want to thank the audience for you being so attentive and very engaging, and for the constructive questions that we have received. We do apologize that we could not take more or additional. We've had to cut in the interest of time. So thank you very much, everyone. We have come to the end of our panel discussion. Thank you.
Mrs. Tabile Joyce Nkosi, all we can say to you is ndiyabonga kakhulu, my lady. You were an excellent moderator, most flexible, understanding, and quite a pleasure to enjoy listening to. I thank you and your panelists, and I invite the photographers that are still in the room, like Borejana, just a translation there. I'm inviting any photographers in the room to kindly document this moment for the panelists. Kindly give them a group photo, and I'll be making some announcements as we conduct the group photo. Thank you so much. A round of applause, please, for Tabile. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it goes without saying you deserve an award yourself for your extensive patience, and we do appreciate it sincerely. The event manager wishes to invite all media personnel for a brief meeting before you go to lunch. All media personnel, all journalists, media houses here represented, you're invited to a brief meeting with the event manager at Okavango. That is the room Ekakwa. With regards to lunch, ladies and gentlemen, on your exit, you will be expecting some ushers who will hand out some coupons for you, and there are 3 stations for our serving points. That's the marquee, and then there's the restaurant where most of you had breakfast this morning, and then there's also the red tent where all support staff will be enjoying their lunch. By the way, just to remind you, ushers will be standing by at your exit points to guide you accordingly. After lunch, we do encourage you to try your best to be back in this room at 2:40. We'll see if that can be achieved. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been incredible with your time. We'll see if we can make it here at that time as well. So we're going to give it a good shot for 2:40 so that we can get into the final main session for today before we break for dinner. Speaking of dinner, please don't forget, once we have concluded the issues of the afternoon, we will be getting ready for the cultural reception dinner, strictly by invitation, and that is, of course, hosted by Botswana Oil. All international delegates, of course, are invited to this event, and all domestic delegates should have an invitation in this regard. Thank you for your kind attention. If you have any need for further clarity, I'm sure the ushers will assist you. Enjoy lunch. We'll see you a little bit later.